It is Monday, May 13th. We are back with the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Glenn Rubenstein is not here this week, but I am joined by Mr. Matt Morgan. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
How has it been? A week now since you've been mayor.
Busy as hell. I mean, it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah. Well, a lot to talk about, mostly outside of tonight's show, so let's go ahead and run through tonight's show. It was taped earlier today in London, England at the O2 Arena. A lot of video packages. Kind of overall, what were your thoughts of tonight's show?
The main event was cool. I liked Sami winning, obviously, but overall, and there were some cool things in there with Brooke.
Yeah.
There's some different highlights that I saw on tonight's show. They featured different people finally, but overall the show was weak, especially for a go-home edition.
Yeah, the go-home shows. I mean, I wonder if we're just at the point where we should just stop expecting go-home shows to mean anything, because they haven't for a long time now.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Yeah. So tonight's Raw opened up. The Miz came out for a promo. He came out for Miz TV. He said that he talked about his feud with Shane McMahon. They're going to be squaring off at Money in the Bank this Sunday. And he brings out Roman Reigns, his guest tonight. Roman talks about Elias, says that Elias hasn't done anything, hasn't won any titles, which is all true. But what makes me want to see this match then? It's like a guy that wins all the time against a guy that never wins.
It's babyface 101. You don't bury your heel opponent like that. You just don't.
Yeah. And then Miz brought up him and Reigns, their chemistry, said that they can make a good buddy cop duo in a buddy cop movie, which is kind of what the old heel Miz would do. Reigns kind of brought it up, saying he sounded like the old Miz. He wanted to punch that Miz in the face. He said he came out to hang out with the new Miz, who stood up to the McMahon family. So Miz then, cut a good promo on Shane, saying how he'll have nowhere to run. His family can't save him.
Yep.
Shane's music hits. Before you know it, Elias and Bobby Lashley attack from behind, leaving Reigns and Miz out. As we've seen a billion times, this leads to a tag team match, which opens up the show. Roman Reigns and Miz versus Elias and Bobby Lashley. Fairly long match. The end saw Lashley and Miz going at it. Shane pulled Reigns off the apron to get DQ'd, so Roman Reigns and The Miz win by disqualification. Your thoughts?
Just combining storylines. I mean, that was a lot. You just had to say a whole hell of a lot to get through that goddamn segment. But, everyone could, if they just saw what this matchup was on paper, they would see exactly what it is. It's what it always is, which is they combine two storylines and have them tag.
Yeah. And just, again, for a go-home show, two big storylines, kind of nothing happens, kind of a nothing match. And, ultimately, it's a match that doesn't mean anything. It kills time, and it was there, but that's pretty much all that happened here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
After the match, Shane sent Reigns into the steel ring steps. I don't know. There's just something about Shane beating up Roman Reigns that just doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right. He shouldn't be beating up anybody. That's a pro wrestler on their roster right now, unless they're very undersized, like a Rey Mysterio or, somebody who's much smaller.
Yeah. So anyway, we saw Shane and Elias and Lashley attacking Reigns and Miz. Reigns was getting triple teamed. Miz came in with the steel chair. Reigns hit a Superman punch on Elias and then Lashley, and the baby faces posed as the segment was done. So that was kind of it with that opening segment. That went a long time.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. So backstage, we saw Seth Rollins talking to his staffers, really, really animated when he was talking to him. It came out earlier today, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch went public with their relationship. So he alluded to that later, saying they broke the internet. Matt, when you were with WWE or with TNA, and obviously it's a ton of wrestler relationships. When that happens, do wrestlers try to keep that quiet, not wanting the office to know, or just keeping stuff private? What's kind of the mentality there?
Both. I've seen it where they didn't want anybody, including the office, to know. Then I've seen it in other spots where it just wasn't publicized that they were in a relationship within the TV show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always think of Melina and John Morrison. You know, they were very, very hot and heavy and very, very, very close with each other and very much so in love at one point. And I just remember they tore that crap apart by screwing with them on purpose. You know, making them go to different shows, splitting them up, and it was just all just to mess with people, man. I didn't like it. It's a different atmosphere there today. There was nothing close to what it used to be. I
mean, you would hear that happening for a long time after that. But yeah, so is it mostly that the company discourages their talent dating that you've seen, or that just certain talents? Because clearly they're not going to get Cena and Nikki Bella's way.
It's an unwritten rule. It's no, Vince McMahon's not going to have a conversation with anybody. It's just an unwritten rule that you just know from your peers and your veterans that will smarten those people up, or in certain situations, an agent maybe, you know, might smarten them up. It's not like Vince McMahon holds like a TV meeting about it, though. No.
Yeah. So anyways, Seth Rollins and they did a lengthy video package for AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank this Sunday. And they said there were going to be interviews later. I thought this was really good.
Video package, you can't mess that up. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Those are always money, and in many ways, I thought this sold, you know, Money in the Bank better than anything else on the show.
It sold it better than anything the two of them have done together thus far as well.
Yeah. So later we had Charlie Caruso talking to Braun Strowman, asking if he regretted what happened with dumping Sami Zayn in the dumpster last week. Braun only said he regretted the trash compactor not turning on and murdering Sami, basically. He talks about how he won Money in the Bank last year and said nothing will stop him from becoming Money in the Bank for the second year in a row. So we'll get to this, but he's pretty much promising he's going to win and doesn't. Up next, we had Sami Zayn in Shane McMahon's office. He's talking about the toxic environment of WWE fans. Braun Strowman almost killing him last week, and has words with Braun. And somehow he talks Shane into making a match tonight again with him against Braun in a Falls Count Anywhere match with Braun's Money in the Bank ladder match spot on the line. Braun says he's going to eat Sami alive, and that is pretty much the end of that segment. Next up, we had Mojo Rawley versus Apollo Crews. So Apollo Crews, for those who haven't been paying attention, is on SmackDown now. I don't know if he's actually appeared on SmackDown yet since the Superstar shakeup, but he's one of the SmackDown talents with the wildcard rule. So I think that's just Roman and Apollo Crews tonight, right? Unless someone in the chat can correct me. And Sami.
What?
Or no, Sami's on Raw. It's freaking hard to keep up with this now.
It is.
All right. So anyway, Mojo Rawley kind of squashes Apollo Crews. Your thoughts on Mojo's new?
I was surprised at that.
You were?
Yeah. Because they for a while now, I thought they were kind of going in a direction where they were going to start doing something at least, you know.
Yeah.
With old boy, but then just have him get squashed by Mojo Rawley out of left field. I don't know.
Right. And yeah, people pointing out Elias and Charlotte also from SmackDown. So. So Mojo with this new character, we'll see how it goes, but this is his first time. He's done it a couple times on Main Event. This is the first time he's used it on Raw.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think most people don't. Backstage, Alexa Bliss is on her phone talking about luggage issues. And so Nikki Cross comes up without her gimmick, kind of being her buddy, and says that she'll take Bliss's place in the Fatal 4-Way match tonight. So, I don't know. Do you think this was just a way to get Nikki Cross in the match since she's kind of the homecoming favorite?
I don't think it has anything to do with that. Hometown favorite, not at all. I just think that's just a coincidence. But it's definitely a way to get her in, and it's they did a lot of featuring for her once that match came as well. I mean, damn, she won.
Yeah. So yeah, Nikki Cross getting something here. I think this is the first time that you've heard her entrance music on Raw since she's been on the main roster. So, they gave her something here. Next up, we had the double contract signing. So we've seen contract signings forever. I do believe this is the first time they've had a double contract signing. So it was a little.
It was cool. This was
Yeah.
cool. I dug this a lot. And Lacey again looked like a total pro and a total main eventer.
Yeah.
With how she handled herself. It was really well done.
She's really good at these segments. I thought Charlotte was good. Becky was good too. In many ways, I thought this was the best segment on the show.
This was the best segment.
Yeah. So we had Lacey Evans come out first, and then Charlotte Flair next, and they were kind of being buddy in this segment. Becky Lynch was out next to a really big pop. Fans are chanting Becky 2 belts. Becky, taunts Flair, taunts Lacey, basically saying they look the same. She couldn't tell them apart. Mm-hmm. Flair, Charlotte starts going off, but there's still another Becky 2 belts chant. Mm-hmm. And kind of the standard stuff. Evans is saying that she's going to restore class to the Raw Women's title.
Yep, very well done.
Yeah, so they signed the contract. And then Becky says she's going to slap the blonde off of them. They got up. A big brawl ensues. You kind of know what happens next. Becky gets the upper hand at first, taking care of both of them, but pretty soon she gets outnumbered, and they end up putting her through the table. So, strong stuff.
Yep. I said my thoughts before we started, sorry.
So who do you think wins this Sunday as far as those 2 title matches go?
Oh, I mean, Lacey's hot right now. Yeah, but it's Raw. That's the problem. If this was SmackDown, I could see Lacey winning the SmackDown Women's title.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't honestly know. That's kind of cool going into this pay-per-view. I don't know because I could see both sides. I could see them saying, well, is it really the time to pull the trigger on dropping these titles for Becky? Is it really? And then 2, the question, is Lacey ready? Yeah. Does Charlotte really need another title run on SmackDown? That's the other side of the argument,
Yeah.
She's so damn over now that she doesn't really need that title.
Yeah, it just seems kind of a little bit of a booking mess right now with Becky being champion on both shows as far as live events and things like that go. But it also does seem kind of weak if this is her first time defending both belts on one show and then losing one of them.
I see her keeping both. I think I'd like to lean toward that a little bit more just because it's more logical. And then, unless their theory is we need to break this up because it's too difficult to do. And then if that's the case, Charlotte wins the title again for a minute until she drops it to somebody else.
Could you see Becky winning both matches, and then after the second match, someone cashes in and beats her?
Think of that. I forgot. It's Money in the Bank.
I felt like they didn't do a good job of selling, outside of Baron Corbin showing that you have to climb to the top of a ladder to win.
So then here's how that happens. Does that mean then if Becky loses, she automatically, and she keeps a SmackDown title, does she go back to SmackDown?
Yeah, that's what I would think. Whichever title she has is where she goes. So I don't think she stays on Raw. I think you got Charlotte on SmackDown.
I was going to say, I could see, what's her name winning? The girl what's her name? God dang. Bliss.
Oh.
I could see Alexa Bliss winning yet again and cashing in and winning.
I think I could see Mandy Rose actually winning. I could see them being like, all right, let's give her the push. Because you could tell Vince has been.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. They're not ready. Otherwise, I'd go with Lacey here.
Carmella wasn't ready yet either last year when she won. But
it's different when you're that much taller. You stick out a lot more. Carmella is smaller. She's faster. Her work is very different from somebody who's throwing a haymaker right hand and looks the way Lacey looks as far as height and stature go. Same problem I used to have. You're either a main event talent or you're not going to work for the company because they can't put you in the middle of the card. It doesn't look right. No one believes you're getting your ass kicked by a mid-card midget, and no one's going to have sympathy for you. It's hard to do. But in the main event, it's a little bit more believable. At least that's what I was always told, I should say. So I don't know.
Yeah, you could have Ember Moon or Bailey as well if you want to do a SmackDown star and kind of turn heel in the process, and it kind of gives them something. They can have good matches.
It would be Bailey if they did that. That'd be good for Bailey turning heel there. Ember Moon, I don't care about anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, I kind of agree, and I think that's why Ember could probably use it because she is really good.
Yeah.
So up next, we had Ricochet versus Baron Corbin.
I'm so angry with this match.
So angry with it.
Yeah, they totally wasted him. They continue to waste him. He has these great matches, and then they completely waste him by having him continually lose. It's not. He's so new. He should not be losing like this.
Yeah, I agree. It makes him just another guy quick. When he's losing and then winning and then losing, even though he's doing spectacular stuff. And I felt like this was probably the best Baron Corbin match I've seen in a long time.
It was because of Ricochet.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, they had a good match. Ricochet hit the standing shooting star press for a 2 count. They traded a little bit. Corbin hits the end of days clean for the pin, wins. And that was it. After the match, Ricochet tried to bring a ladder into the ring, but it backfired and Ricochet used it against him. Up next, we saw a replay of last week's backstage segment with Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio's son Dominic. Rey was backstage with Charlie Caruso. Cesaro randomly comes in, says it's rude for Rey to talk about Joe when he's not there. And he also knocked Rey for bringing his kid to work and made a crack about how Dominic actually looked more like Samoa Joe's son than Rey's, which I think a lot of people pointed that out last week.
Yes.
So that was a funny line. So Rey and Cesaro got into a little brawl, and that kind of ended it, setting up their match for later tonight.
Yep.
We had another. This Roman Reigns video package. Did they show that on Raw last week, or was that on SmackDown?
SmackDown.
Okay. Yeah. So if you saw it, SmackDown, it's the same exact video package they did on Reigns. Pretty long, but again, well done, but really long, especially since Roman's already on this show. Didn't seem like you needed it. Let's see. So up next, we had AJ Styles cutting a promo. AJ saying that the phenomenal forearm that he gave the other week was meant for Corbin. He accidentally hit Rollins. That's kind of it. Not much to this promo. He said he'll walk into Money in the Bank as a challenger, but will leave the Universal Champion. Very cliche stuff. Your thoughts on this?
Boring.
Yeah,
It's boring. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the match, but the lead up and getting there has been very boring for me.
Yeah, I agree. Then next we had a fatal 4-way: Naomi versus Natalya versus Nikki Cross versus Dana Brooke. The big surprise I thought was Cross hitting a spinning neckbreaker to Natalya from the second rope and getting the pin. Nikki Cross's first win, I believe, on Raw. Your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it was cool. And then right after that, Bliss came in the ring, but Nikki and her put the huge ladder in the middle of the ring. Nikki started to climb it, and then Bliss is like, me. And then she climbed it while Nikki Cross, who just got a pretty major win, sat there like a friggin' seal and just started clapping for her uncontrollably, all excited for her new friend. And I didn't like parts of this because first of all, I like that Cross got a win, right? It does something with her finally. I think it's a little bit late in my opinion, but I'll digress. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. She's worked very hard to get here. But I didn't like the commentary on this. I didn't like, even though Cole was telling the truth by saying half the people don't even know she's on this show. He said that at one point, and he's right. He's right. I couldn't tell you what brand she was on before tonight's show. I didn't remember. But he should not be saying that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't like that. And again, the match itself was good. It was featuring, 2 out of the 4. I was hoping one of those 2 would win, either Dana Brooke or, what's her name? Nikki Cross, somebody new. And what was cool about this match was Dana Brooke got some really cool highlights and feature spots in here. I thought she jumped off the top of the ladder. She was very charismatic out there, very comfortable out there. She's coming along.
Yeah.
Still too far gone, in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, they kind of dropped her crazy character a little bit. She seemed a lot more normal tonight.
Oh, Nikki Cross?
Yeah.
Didn't you see her go bananas, like speared her through the ladder, and then
Right.
going bananas when she was climbing the ladder. When Bliss was climbing the ladder, I kept looking at Nikki Cross going, "She got to tip it over. What are you doing? Why would you just let her do that?" And she can be true to her character. And all she was doing was clapping uncontrollably and acting like a crazy girl. So she was morphing in and out of it, if anything.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see. Nikki Cross currently not scheduled for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Assuming Alexa Bliss is completely fine and this was just something to get Nikki on TV, then she's not in that match. But this is kind of what we talked about in the past few weeks, how none of these matches have stakes. There was only one match where it mattered who won or lost tonight, and that was Braun Strowman against Sami Zayn. Right. And I felt like there was something they could have done with this match. Whether, again, they had just announced everyone for these Money in the Bank ladder matches without having to qualify.
Yeah.
If they still had a couple matches here and there where you have to qualify for certain spots, it would at least make it mean like these matches mean something.
No, you're right.
But anyway, I thought this was fine. Up next, we got Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro. Mm-hmm. Cesaro, man, he needs to change that entrance music. It's basically got Sheamus's theme.
Yes, it is. It's awkward. It's weird.
Yeah. So they went for a little while. I thought this match was pretty good too.
This was a good match, although Rey is not getting the reaction that, you know what I mean? People were telling Cesaro to pick him up and swing him one more time. That's not good for, someone on Rey's level, and I don't know if that has to do with how they've booked him, versus is that what today's fan thinks of Rey Mysterio? I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, think about how he's been used since he's been back. I mean, it was a big deal. Like, it was like months and months. It seemed like they were teasing him coming back and they were close to him signing. Then he comes back and he's going 50-50 all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, again, one of those things about building momentum, and they haven't done that with Rey.
It also shows you the evolution of the cruiserweight, right? Because the stuff Rey used to do, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not doing what he used to do when he was younger. Okay, let's give him credit there, right? But by the same token, his stuff that he does off the top and things like that are so not boring, but they're so basic versus what we see all these other guys like Ricochet and AJ doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Wrestling has really come a long way.
Yeah, for sure. And he's it's evolved. But if you look at what Rey did, like if you look at that Rey Eddie Guerrero match from like Halloween Havoc 96, I think.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It's still up there with what people are doing today. But yeah, what Rey is doing now, I agree. But let's see here. So Rey blocked the neutralizer, dropped Cesaro with the 619, got the splash for the win. And that was it with that match. Before we go any further, we got to talk about our sponsor for tonight, SeatGeek. Fans of the podcast, have been hearing us talking about SeatGeek for a long time now. Getting tickets online can be far too complicated. With hundreds of sites and varying levels of reliability, it's hard to know who to trust. And that's why SeatGeek is the way to go. SeatGeek pulls millions of tickets into one place so you can easily find the seats you want for a price you're willing to pay. SeatGeek is a ticket company where the customer comes first, with more than 50,000 five-star reviews in the App Store. SeatGeek is focused on making your experience as easy as possible for a great value. Now, Glenn likes to use it for the theater and concerts that I've never heard of. I've used it in the past for Lady Gaga, Guns N' Roses, Broncos tickets, and wrestling. And then I'm also using it for this Hugh Jackman concert coming up in a couple months that I'd never heard of, but I'm looking forward to it. It pulls together millions of tickets all over the web, rates each deal on a scale from 1 to 10. We've been talking about it. We invite you to try it. If you've never tried it, get the app. It's worth a shot. And you will get $10 off your first SeatGeek purchase. All you need to do is download the app and use our promo code, which is INC. So once again, download the SeatGeek app today and use promo code INC for $10 off your first purchase. That's promo code INC for $10 off your first purchase. All right. So next up, we had the Revival. They were showing all the stupid shit that they've been doing with those guys the last few weeks. Dawson and Wilder cut a promo backstage. They're dropping toilet references about how they don't If the Usos want to continue being a skid mark on society, then go ahead. But if they want to find out who the best team on the planet are, him and Dash aren't too hard to find. And the embarrassment of the Revival stops right now. Hopefully that's true, because the stuff they've been doing with them has been cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the Revival leaving when their contract comes up next year?
Not after getting offered that kind of money that you guys are saying. No.
One thing, AEW, we haven't talked about yet, and we'll get more into it, but AEW, they do have, they're supposed to be at the TV upfronts in New York this Wednesday to announce their new TV deal with Turner, which we'll talk about.
Hell yes. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So backstage, Seth Rollins talking to Cher Schreiber, talked about breaking the internet earlier today, with the reference to Becky Lynch. And that was actually, that wasn't the promo yet, but anyway, we'll get to that promo. They cut a promo. Seth talked about facing AJ years ago. I love this. I love when they bring the past and stuff like that. It just makes it seem a lot more real. Your thoughts on Seth's promo?
Man, I mean, I feel like it's a little too late to. It's. I don't know. I'm just being honest. I've seen this already on their DVD. You know what I mean? On the Seth Rollins DVD. His story with AJ. So yeah, it's cool to have some back history into it, but they should have done it from day one. They haven't. They've waited until now to start kind of sort of putting it out there. I'm looking forward to the match. I'm just not a fan of how they built to get here.
I agree. I mean, just last week you had Seth talking about how he was going to break AJ's face, or 2 weeks ago, and getting all personal. And this week it's like, I'll prove I'm the better man. And it just didn't hit home, I thought. But yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be, it should be a hot match. Mm-hmm. AJ, he did suffer a hip injury at WrestleMania last year. And so he has been used very sparingly. He's been wrestling on TV, but hasn't been working any live events. And he hasn't worked the European tour so far until tonight, after tonight's Raw. So hopefully he's 100% this Sunday. Next, we had, this might have been the highlight of the show. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was awesome. The Firefly Funhouse segment with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah. Ramblin' Rabbit was there despite being destroyed last week. Mercy the Buzzard, Abby the Witch. Wyatt said he has a dark secret, and he ends up going into another dark promo. The screen turns dark. There's a bunch of dolls and toys, creepy dolls and toys. And all of a sudden, Wyatt turns around. He's got this freaky mask on, and the dreadlocks, and this new look. Uh-huh. And he said he's, basically sharing his secret, and it's terrifying. So this was, I don't know what this means. I don't know if the little Funhouse Happy Bray, if there's going to be two characters, or if this is it, and this was just all building to this unveil.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I kind of think it is. But either way, it's been awesome. I like it. Because to have him wrestle like that would have been very difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have gotten stale pretty quick, too, even though it's amazing, because he needs all of those props to have that fun house. You can't just do that backstage. You know how crappy that's going to look. You can't do it in the ring either. It's going to look like crap there too. So the vignettes are always really good and very strong. I'd like to see more before they fully bring him back heel, because they've been entertaining.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I think there's so many different ways it could go. But yeah, this is really turned into one of my highlights of Raw lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Consistently, it's usually one of the best top 3 favorite things each Raw.
Yeah. All right, up next, Falls Count Anywhere. Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn. They actually went a long time in this. A lot of outside interference. They went to the back. Yep. Braun got attacked by Baron Corbin. Allowed Sami to get a 2 count. And then later, Drew McIntyre appeared, dropped Braun on a steel chair with a DDT. But still, Sami only got a 2 count. They came back towards ringside. And what happened at the end here? I'm forgetting.
Both guys come out.
Both guys came out, attacked Braun. Finally, Sami was able to get the pin. So Sami Zayn,
with all 3 of them pinning Braun,
right.
they all had their hands on him.
Yep. So Sami now has a pinfall victory over Braun Strowman, who at one point was wrestling Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship.
I want to even cut that off because before any of you guys get to realize that and digest the fact that Sami Zayn just pinned Braun Strowman, but wait, there's more. He got up from being, let me be very clear, double backdropped onto a ladder that broke in half, then eating a Claymore kick to the face and being pinned by all three men, 1, 2, 3, only for Braun to be up 30 seconds later to then go take our newly found winner and chokeslam him through the Raw announce table and completely no-sell everything that just happened to him. So I did not like that, even though I'm a huge protector of Braun and they need to protect his size a lot more. You know, I didn't like he bumped off of Homeboy's headbutt backstage, even like the smallest little idiosyncrasies. I'm always I'd always want to protect his size, but there was no need for him to come up from the dead. He wasn't even from the dead. He just came up after the Claymore being covered 1, 2, 3, and came up and just started chokeslamming Sami. Like nothing happened. Ripped his shirt off, flexed, and left. And
yeah,
I did not like that. He should have stayed down. He should have sold.
It's one of those things that I still think ultimately it did more harm to Braun than it helped Sami. You know, like Braun did get a little bit back there at the end, but this guy was an unbeatable monster. And now, he's getting, ultimately people are going to remember that Sami beat him on Raw and forget all the other shenanigans.
I hope so, because that was not WWE's intent. Let me be very clear. WWE's intent was to leave that show to fade to black with Braun with his arms raised, just like they did. When that's usually what people think of and they remember last.
You don't think Braun was being punished here, or it seems like he has any heat?
No, not at all. No, zero. No.
By being removed from the Money in the Bank ladder match?
No. No, I don't. Unless there's something new. Unless there's a new thing that's happened I'm unaware of.
There was a report from the Observer a couple of weeks ago that WWE weren't happy with Braun for forgetting some stuff in some spots in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. There were some spots he had with Luke Harper, and according to Dave Meltzer in the Observer, Braun forgot a sequence or a bunch of parts of that match and got some heat over that. So he hasn't really been booked strong since then. So it definitely does feel like
you do. Okay, so here we go, Meltzer. WWE, you don't get heat on you because you forget some spots, especially when you're at Braun's level. Okay, you just don't. You don't get heat for that. You get heat for being a dick. You get heat for how you treat people. You get dick. You get a heat by blowing major opportunities, and that doesn't mean forgetting spots or blowing spots. It means not getting over and things of that nature. As long as you're getting over and you're getting a reaction, you're not allowed to forget spots, but you can forget spots here and there, and they're not going to hold that against you at that level. No effing way. I don't buy it.
All right. So overall, your thoughts on tonight's show? If you had to grade it 1 to 10.
I like that last stuff. I didn't like the very, very finish of it, but I did like Braun getting pinned by Sami because I'm a huge Sami fan too, and he needed something here. So this was good. I love the girl segment. That was my favorite. Funhouse was cool. Flyhouse, rather, whatever the hell it's called. That was cool. I always give it the same damn grade, C+. I always give it the same grade.
Yeah, I'd give it a C- for me. I just thought, again, for a go-home show, not much meant anything. And it was probably like 30 minutes of good stuff in 3 hours. So,
yeah, that's fair.
So that was Raw. There was a ton of other news this past weekend. Silver King passed away at the age of 51 while competing against Juventud Guerrera at a Roadhouse theater show in North London. Apparently, he suffered a heart attack during the match. Now, there's video out there. We didn't post any of that video on Wrestling Inc.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looked like he had suffered a kick during the match or something, and then he just collapsed. They didn't have paramedics on hand, so it was just a long time.
Was it the kick to the chest or face?
They believe it was like a kick to the chest that might have prompted it.
It still could have been a heart attack then.
Yeah, and there was, I think Silver King was going for the pin, or he had just done a spot, and then just stopped. And Juventud then was trying to, get Silver King off and was having a hard time. Finally got him on, finally covered him. And I think the plan for the match was Silver King to go over because the ref counted 2 and then just stopped. And then finally just counted 3. Silver King was laying there motionless. Juventud is, celebrating. But you could tell something's definitely way off. And finally, a bunch of wrestlers hit the ring. Felt like forever that they waited for, the medics and stuff to come and attend to him. And yeah, it's really sad that passed away at only 51. And I wasn't that familiar with him before he signed with WCW. But
same here, WCW. I remember from.
Yeah, he was. A big part of the cruiserweight division back then. Yeah. And he was the lead heel in the movie Nacho Libre, in that movie, the Jack Black movie in 2000.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, what a great role.
So, yeah, our condolences to Silver King's family.
Yeah.
Another big story this past week, Lars Sullivan. I'm sure, did you hear about all of that?
No.
He had made some ignorant statements on social media and on a bodybuilding forum. I think it was bodybuilding.com. And some of them were sexist, some were a little bigoted, or some were very bigoted. We had been hearing about it for a long time, but you couldn't prove it was him. But then Big E finally replied to it last week and said, basically, a lot of people in the company are aware of it. And if he indeed made those statements, he's going to have a hard time because, the number of minorities that work with the company. So it became a huge thing again. Someone on Reddit posted like 30 links of comments that Lars has made. Some not that controversial, some very controversial.
Why is he making comments on bodybuilding.com?
Well, a lot of these were like 10 years ago. So he was like 20 years old and a lot of these were made.
Well, yeah, it doesn't give an excuse, but by the same token, people grow up too and mature and real, you know what I mean? Maybe change their outlook on certain things, no matter how heinous they may have been. I don't even know what he said. What did he say? What did he do?
I'll send you the link. There's there's a lot of bad stuff, but a lot of it kind of
homophobic stuff. Did
homophobic stuff. He didn't say the N-word, but it was very white supremacist stuff. Some of it was kind of. Again, it's 10 years ago, and people don't always necessarily mean what they say online, and they're just looking for a reaction. He was 20 years old back then when a lot of these, there were some comments that were newer, but they weren't near as bad.
How new?
I think like 3-4 years ago. Oh. But it was like stuff like why WWE is pushing AJ Styles and like things like that.
Was he pretending to be someone else?
No, there was some of the posts. He had a photo of himself on there. So
what the hell?
We did receive a statement from Lars, who said, "There's no excuse for the inappropriate remarks that I made years ago. They do not reflect my personal beliefs nor who I am today, and I apologize to anyone I offended." People do, posting stupid shit online should not be a life sentence, in my opinion. And if he's truly sorry, I think he needs to show it. But if he's truly sorry, this should not be. I know a lot of people are saying he should probably get fired and things like that. But
really, I got to go read this article and see what's up.
All right. And if he's not sorry, then I do agree. Then something should happen. But if he truly is sorry, if it was just stupid stuff that kids do, because I think so many of us say stupid stuff that we would not say when we're older,
especially little kids. But I'm out 20. I was a boy.
Yeah,
I'll make excuses because again, I don't know what the hell the kid said. What Florida said, I have no clue. I'm still going to follow up after and read it myself. But I mean, good Lord, I know I was a kid at 20. I'd argue I was a kid until I was like 24.
Yeah,
like seriously, right when I got signed by WWE, I would say is what kind of matured me.
Yeah, I mean, people grow up. I mean, I didn't say anything like that. It's not like I was a bastion of maturity.
That those days, though, I know for a fact I didn't feel like I was a man yet. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel mature yet. That's for sure.
Yeah, someone saying that's not a kid. I think people say stupider stuff when they're like 18, 19, 20 than when they're 14, 15, 16 sometimes. So, hey, you never know.
I gotta go read it.
Yeah. All right, so there was that, and let's see, AEW we discussed. Deal with Turner likely coming up. That's going to be announced on Wednesday, either Tuesday or Wednesday nights in prime time.
Tuesday, what? Slow down. What'd you say?
Tuesday or Wednesday nights. It's one of those two in prime time. The rumor is Tuesday night, and they have the name trademark Tuesday Night Dynamite. So, just huge news. I mean, this fall, WWE moving to Fox, AEW on Turner, on TNT, like most likely. Vince McMahon being involved with the XFL, and the XFL launching in February. It's a big seismic shift in the industry. We'll see where it goes, but
the writing has got to pick up. It has to. These talents are amazing. They've got the most physically gifted talents I've ever seen. I'm sorry.
There are no compelling storylines right now in the company, in WWE. In my opinion, there's no storyline where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see where they go with this. You know what I mean?
And the ones we do get excited for, they screw, like AJ and Seth Rollins. This should be much bigger feeling than the way it does right now. We should be feeling like we're seeing a WrestleMania match easily, a main event WrestleMania match, no less. And that's not the feeling we have. Not because we're not excited to see the athleticism involved in that match, and the false finishes, and the stuff we're all going to be excited to see. But I would argue they've thrown a wet blanket on it. What it could have been if this had better, more consistent writing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been saying it forever. I feel like it's a broken record at this point. I don't want to sound like I'm always being negative on the company, but it's just the storytelling and the characters. It's just not there.
And here's the thing: here's the thing. You'll have some veterans that will say, "Well, yeah, it could be the writing, or it could be the boys not getting over. The boys aren't going out there. They're not going out there, and they're not feeling it. They're not feeling who their character is. They're doing, back in my day when I went out there, I took the bull by the horns and I just went the opposite direction and I played heel, and even though I'm supposed to be babyface, and I flipped the script. And okay, it should be that way. Still to this day, it should be that way. But unfortunately, they're not listening to the audience. Guy after guy, girl after girl, go out there and they organically do get over. They do it. They do what all those what some of the veterans did, or some of the older guys in the Attitude Era, even, I'd say, that went out there on their own, organically got over. Then what happened? Because they had WCW's competition, they had to push that talent, right? They kind of had WWF had to push that talent. They don't do that anymore. It's so frustrating because the guys and girls go out and they do the hardest thing there is to do, and that's get over despite crappy writing, and organically get over at that, which isn't easy to do in this day and age. It's just not, especially as a babyface. And here they do it. We can list a whole bunch of them, from Zack Ryder to Dolph, right when he won the title, if you remember, and lots of other situations of different people, guys and girls. And WWE just ignores it. They just ignore it because it doesn't fit what they had written for all different storylines. Instead of just going, back to the drawing board, we need to do something now because this guy or this girl's white hot right now. They don't do that.
Yeah, I wonder if someone asked Vince McMahon, like, what your favorite storyline of this past year has been, if he could come up with something.
Or why do you not let them if they organically get over, why do you guys not go with that talent? Why are you so stuck in what you had previously written, when all we hear time after time is you throw the script away and you rewrite a new one the day of the show? Why can't you do that when the right time is to do that, which is when these talents get white hot, and you stay out of their way by continuing to feed them more of that wood on the fire?
Yeah.
Don't throw a wet blanket on it.
And we see that time and time again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, The Undertaker will be facing Goldberg.
Holy, I saw that. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It's one of those things, kind of a mixed response. Obviously, the younger fans
don't like it.
But I guarantee you that's going to be the biggest thing on the show. It's going to be that's going to get the most interest online.
Here's a question. Was there a bigger Mania match than that this past year? I mean, that's serious. As far as money and box office is concerned, no.
I mean, as far as big names go and icons in this business, this is the biggest. I mean, what's bigger in a long time?
I got nothing. I got Goldberg, Brock, maybe, and he's not bigger than Undertaker, so I take that back. No,
I'd say Goldberg, Brock the first time at Survivor Series was huge. Because you didn't think Goldberg would ever be coming back, and then all of a sudden
It was. But here's my question: Undertaker is bigger than Brock, in my opinion, just for my money. Now here's the other reason: Undertaker ain't losing. He's the Undertaker, and Goldberg supposedly, what wasn't some of his things that he doesn't want to lose or some shit like. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know.
It used to be.
I can't see him losing either. That was my point.
Yeah, I mean, it's
to be cool. They're gonna feed two guys down is what's gonna happen. They're gonna feed a tag team or two guys down to mess the match up, and they're gonna get like spear and choke slam at the same time.
Oh god,
two talents are gonna come and try to mess that up. It's gonna be what's his name? They were just out there tonight to close Raw. Come on.
Corbin and Drew.
There you go. There you go.
You don't think the Prince would be like, no, we're not having that on my event. I must have a finish. Anyway, so that also on that event, Triple H versus Randy Orton, so a WrestleMania rematch there, and there's going to be
Triple H versus Orton.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's exciting to me too.
Yeah,
shoot,
Triple H versus Orton. We haven't seen that in a long time,
right?
And then also a 50-man battle royal, so the world's greatest battle royal.
Nobody cares about battle royals.
No, but it's I guess it's a way to throw everyone on the card. So, so Saudi Arabia, big match is set. It's called WWE Super Showdown, which is the name they used for the Australian event last October. I don't know if they're going to just use that name for all the big overseas events now, but Friday, June.
That would be smart to do that. Actually, that would be smart to trademark that.
Yeah, it's like in your house or
yes. No, that's what I was thinking. Exactly that.
Yeah.
That analogy.
So and that's coming up quick. That's 3.5 weeks away. So we got two big shows coming up. 3 big shows because 2 weeks after that is whatever they're calling it now, Stomping Grounds. So we had a big resting period from WrestleMania, but now it's about to get really busy again. Mr. Mayor, that's about it from here. Do you have anything you got to plug?
No, just excited about the big news. I didn't know that about AEW. I'm stoked for those guys, man. Freaking Turner.
Yeah, so Wednesday,
awesome.
it's going to be a busy day on the site. So,
do we think it's TBS or TNT?
I think it's TNT.
Wow. Holy crap. Yes.
Yeah. Now, Tuesday nights, obviously they have basketball. So if it is Tuesday nights, that means it's going to get preempted a lot, so it's almost better if it's Wednesday, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, exciting times. We'll see. I'm hoping that they push this strongly. My guess is that they would if they're spending all this money for it.
Yes.
And we'll see how the promotion will be, because I know a lot of people are saying, just their numbers online right now aren't that great. But if you got a big network promoting it, and
they have a lot of stars they've got to introduce that no one's ever the hell heard of. Like even on the YouTube show I watch, I'm like, who's this dude? Who's this guy? And I know everybody, but there's lots that I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to sign a name or two from the past that are some big star that people will recognize and will be excited about.
But they're going to do great no matter what. I firmly believe that. With that network, it's a big deal on what network you go on. It's probably the biggest part of the equation, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because if it's on TV enough and it's on a main channel enough, it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't matter who you put out there, because it does. I just said it did, right? They have a lot of new talents they've got to put out there and get over. But once they do, you know what I mean? Sky's going to be the limit, man, because it's going to be exciting action.
Yeah. People are saying that basketball can be on any day. I don't really watch it, but I got to go back and look. There was some issue with Tuesday nights with TNT, but I'll double check what that is for tomorrow's broadcast.
But nothing to plug. Sorry,
nothing to plug. All right, and with myself, we'll be at Starcast. We'll have more details tomorrow night. But until then, thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight, and we'll see you back tomorrow here with the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.
See that? Don't need Glenn.